week, talking about downtown as a potentially desirable place for young people to live, something I believe very strongly. But he makes a comment which I think is true and therefore troubling. He said, some point to the stalled Harrison condominium project as a barometer for lack of interest in urban living. Now, that echoes one of the first concerns I expressed when this project first came forward, that Casey blames it on the high pricing, which I think is correct, but I think it's also correct that the location was not well chosen. And I think because of the undersized, it's probably one of the least desirable locations in the downtown area. I think there are much better ways to promote downtown living, and I think we should be doing it. But what that statement says, if it's true, and I think it is that as long as that empty space remains, we are not standing still, we are moving backwards, because that kind of perception can only grow in breadth and in depth. So I think it's time. I think we've been patient too long on this. I think it's time for some thought and some action on it. I briefly propose three things tonight. Number one, I think we should insist on enforcing the damages clause in the contract with Hardball. The damages clause requires them to pay for their non-performance. The damage of $5,000 a day. This was agreed to by both parties, that includes Hardball, as a compensation for what the city was losing by Hardball's failure to perform. It was not intended as a punishment. It's a way of producing fairness and getting something back for the city that would allow us a few funds to move forward in other ways. Secondly, I think we should sit down and insist that they renegotiate that contract with us, because as things stand at the moment, them having performed nothing in return for the free use of that magnificent stadium, is that this is a stadium from which they derive all profit. We get a little bit of income, but we have to leave it in the stadium in the capital maintenance fund. They can take all the profits they want, and they probably do take them, and they all go to Atlanta or to wherever their concessionaires are headquartered. So this raises the possibility that we're suffering something that economists warned us of when, after studying the examples of other cities, you can actually lose money, as downtown can lose money rather than gain it by the installation of some facility like this, as nice as it might be, because it takes away income from local venue suppliers, from local concessionaires, gives it to the ball team owners, who then take it out of the city. Finally, I think we should be thinking, we should be thinking hard about how our downtown should develop, where the most promising areas for development are, and this might involve some conversations with Hardball. If we could say to Hardball, look, you owe us $15 million in development of residential and retail building. Let's talk together about where maybe that could be profitably invested for everybody's benefit. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd also agree with Councilman Shoaff's sentiments. The liquidated damages provision in terms of that contract was negotiated between the City of Fort Wayne Redevelopment Commission and Hardball. It was negotiated with eyes wide open. And it's not a punishment. It is a purchase price. It's the negotiated purchase price for forbearance of the city seeking strict compliance with that contract. And therefore, it's strange to watch the Redevelopment Commission not enforce something that was freely negotiated, and which is purchasing something that has a value to Hardball.
Thank you. On the positive side of the whole Hardball issue is next Thursday, I think it is September the 1st, the Marriott is opening in the new sports bar, and I think we're